Welcome to another edition of the M365 Podcast. My today's guest is Michael Mendes, Microsoft MVP Solution Architect and Developer specialized in Microsoft 365 and the Power Platform. Michael began his journey with Microsoft technology back in 2008 and spent nearly a decade working as a developer and consultant in Brazil, building deep expertise in SharePoint development and enterprise solutions. In 2018, he made the move to Dublin and successfully transitioned from traditional SharePoint development into modern business application space. Today, Michael focused on designing and delivering enterprise-grade solution using Power Apps, Power Automate, Dataverse, Power Pages, helping organizations build powerful digital expertise while maintaining security, scalability, and governance. In this episode, we will explore Michael's journey through the Microsoft ecosystem, discuss the evolution of Power Platform, dive into Power Pages security, best practice, and talk about what it takes to build a solution that can scale in the real world. Welcome, Michael, to the show.
Thank you. Nice to meet you here in person, virtually for the first time. I'm pleased to be here with you, and looking forward to our conversation.
You are really long in the Microsoft space since 2008. I found out. How did your journey start with Microsoft technologies?
Okay. When I graduated in university, so I think when I was in university, I did like a few internship programs. One for my college. It was like an internal paid project that they support with like a tuition fee, and I worked for 6 months as well for like one of the government bodies of the city. But I didn't work with Microsoft technologies like until now, until that point. So in the during college, I only studied Java, and I worked on my internship with PHP. So it's nothing to do with Microsoft. But then after I finished college, I was trying to find a job in another city. I studied in a city called Ouro Preto. It was a small city in Brazil. Then I was trying to move to Belo Horizonte, which is the capital city of Minas Gerais. So there I could get a job in a company that they offered like a trainee program. And they trained everyone in Microsoft technologies. And I began then my career studying C#, SQL Server. And at that point, I did a few projects with Windows Forms. And it was, I'm just trying to remember the name of the technology, but it was the ASP.NET before the MVC. I totally forgot the name of it, but web form, ASP.NET Web Forms, I think. So I worked like for a year in projects like this. And after a year, the company were investing in SharePoint projects, and they picked up a few developers to train again in SharePoint. And then I started working as a SharePoint developer, and then my career began. I worked for a long time in Brazil with SharePoint, and I slowly started to be introduced to the Power Platform until I nowadays only work with Power Platform, basically. That's more or less it.
Yeah, so you have this, I call it traditional development skills. And how does this apply to the low-code area?
Like, since I was taught to think like this, and I tried to do my best like this in terms of, because SharePoint itself, even if we think about low code like Canvas apps and everything that's more advanced, from SharePoint time, there was a lot we could do out of the box without having to write custom code. And if you got a developer that doesn't understand how the platform works, we would be reinventing the wheel, right? So like my mentors at that point they taught me like, hey, you need to think first on like, does the feature exist? Can you do it with configuration first? If you can't, then we go to pro code approaches. And that's what I do now with the Power Platform as well. So basically, I can say that reduced a little bit because we can do a lot with low code tools now. So if we think about Canvas apps, even model-driven apps out of the box and Power Automate, there's a lot we can do without coding. But still, we see the best approach when we try to do anything with low code and it fails or it's not enough, then we go for a pro code approach. Or if the customer wants something really customized and still wants to leverage the benefits of governance and the whole Dataverse security, then I think that's when we build a highly customized solution, but always keeping in mind that we need to do security configs out of the box and all that stuff, right?
Mm. And you're really long in this Microsoft ecosystem. How did you see how has changed over the last year, especially now with the AI topic?
Yeah, I think it's a bit it's exciting but challenging at the same time because we need to be keeping an eye all the time in the news and updates, right? And but to me, I cannot say that things will go in that way, but I feel that due to the whole world being targeted into developing pro code apps with AI, I think that's gonna be the way to go going forward. So, for example, in case of Power Apps, instead of developing Canvas apps, what's gonna be the trend now is develop code apps because
Mm,
then you can use Cloud Code or GitHub Copilot to build the apps while still leveraging everything like the governance and Dataverse features and all the security. Same for Power Pages as well. The only edge case that I feel that they won't be they won't be going towards that direction are if you don't have premium licenses for Power
mm,
Apps because you cannot use code apps and Power Pages without premium licenses.
mm,
So for that case, for example, companies that they want to build apps with SharePoint, okay, there's still a use case for Canvas apps.
mm,
But I believe, like at least from what I see people trying around, I think the LLMs and the agentic development tools, they are not that good with Canvas apps as they are with full pro code apps.
mm.
So I think we see a gap in that point at the moment. I'm not sure how things are going to span out in 2 months' time. Maybe this improves, but that's what I feel at the moment too.
And how do you see how has Power Platform, Microsoft framed it as Maker platform, changed to the way organizations approach application development?
You mean in terms of not needing a necessarily a software developer to build apps, or
Yeah, and I think one of the keywords are citizen development.
yeah, I think honestly, to me, I feel um, Power Platform empowers more people to be developing apps, but sometimes I think the the term is a bit misunderstood in terms of it's not that everyone will build apps. At the end of it, at least to me, I feel that maybe the most impactful apps that are built from people that they were already very tech savvy building stuff with other tools. So for example, you see a lot of people that they were power user for Excel, for anything in Office. I think you see more impact from those people touching the Power Platform than someone that maybe doesn't even want to be very tech savvy. You know, I think not saying that those guys won't build apps. I think everyone ends up building something, but in terms of more impact, and that's my impression anyway. I might be
Yeah,
wrong, but
and yeah, what will you say? What separates a successful Power Platform implementation from one that struggles?
successful. Like I think if we measure how many users are really using the apps, what like if we can measure, for example, the number of hours a process used to take before the digitized process was in place and how it works now, because I think there's no point on people building apps that nobody uses and doesn't make any impact. You know, that's what I feel. I know every company would have different measures, but I think that's it. You know, in terms of you see how many hours you saved, what was the real impact. If you gather some reports to just show numbers before and after the process was implemented.
One of your core specialized is Power Apps. What makes a good Power Apps to a great one?
I think it's if when people think about usability, when
Hmm.
they build an app that's intuitive and the first thing is not only building an app, but understanding the real business problem and what the app is trying to solve. Like really bridging the gap between technology and the people. Because sometimes when people develop systems, I think they don't really, how can I say, put themselves in the place of the users. And sometimes they try to solve a problem that doesn't exist or solve it in a wrong way because there's missing requirements and things like that. But I think once the process is really well mapped and then the app is built with the users in mind, I think that's the beginning of success and
And
for a great app.
how did you start when you build an app? How did you do it? What's your plan? Or
Okay, usually it's not that I do it everything myself, but we would have a BA that talks to business, and then that BA understands the requirements, talk to the technical people. Maybe we do some prototypes to validate the ideas before building the apps, do presentations for the users. If they are happy with the prototypes, then we go forward developing the app. I think it's easier like this. So like we just show mockups, and sometimes we could use Figma, for example, to create prototypes, and the users give a few ideas and tell what they like, what they didn't like, because sometimes it's easier to fix things when you show just a prototype instead of like changing the whole data model, how things flow. I know, like nowadays it's even easier if you think we can build everything quickly with AI, but thinking about the way things used to be until now, I think that that's the approach I used to take until now. But sometimes, yeah, even with AI now, we can just simply build a proof of concept quickly, show to the users, see if they like it, and if they don't like it, we throw it away and build it again. I just
and
think
what's your
when it's a system that is like running production and we sometimes need to modify existing functionality, maybe going with the prototype way is the best, even now, you know.
and what tips? I think a lot of people build apps, but what is your tips to make it long term maintainable?
No, sorry,
Like
what's the tips to make it what? Sorry.
the maintainability. How can we build apps that works long term?
It depends. It depends if it's Canvas apps. If it's Canvas apps, I'd say one thing. If it's model, another. But in general, I think if we think when we build the apps to try to make everything the most reusable as possible instead of like duplicating a lot of code, you know, because that's something that people sometimes start building apps and don't think about creating components, like optimizing those reusable bits of the app. Also think about performance as well, like not only build the app but think how is this going to grow, is the platform going to support it, because sometimes there's ways you build queries that they can be slower than others. And yeah, I think it's just think about the performance, how to reuse components, and build the app in a way that is easy to change if needed.
I think when we talk about power apps, or especially we talk about enterprise power apps, we have also talk about Dataverse. What role does Dataverse play in creating scalable solutions?
I think it's honestly, if the person who is building solution understands Dataverse well, they will be able to like map how to build the queries in the apps correctly in a performant way, or if they want to do pro code stuff, for example, plugins versus creating flows. Like if you understand that the impact that the excessive use of plugins have in the environment can slow it down versus some functionality you can transfer to flows, I think it's good. And in terms of Dataverse, like what role it would play, I think it's I won't say it's only Dataverse, but it's the Power Platform overall, because when you build a solution on top of Dataverse, you don't need to be reinventing the wheel in terms of configuring data models, security, and all of that. That's what I have to say, and governance as well. So the users need to think about the focus, the developers would need to focus more on how to develop the apps, the code or configuration bits, and not worry about authentication, security, and all the other aspects, if that is configured correctly. Let's see.
I think another topic you are also in, it's Power
Yeah,
Pages, and
Power
for
Pages. Yeah.
listener, yeah, for a listener they're unfamiliar with Power Pages, how would you describe these platform?
How would I describe Power Pages comparing to Power Apps and the rest? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I'd say in summary, think of Power Pages for external users and Power Apps for internal users,
Mm,
because you cannot be exposing Power Apps for external users, and then if you need to have external people to interact with Dataverse, Power Pages is the way to go.
mhm,
Obviously, you don't need Power Pages to do that. You could build an app with .NET that connects to Dataverse,
mm,
but the way Power Pages is built is like it's very quick to spin up a solution, and it has the same benefits as using Dataverse for internal stuff. So, for
mm,
example, when it comes to security, exposing only some bits of data or others, and having more restrictions or of what people can or cannot do, you can do it. You can do everything out of the box. You don't need to develop code for that. So if you know everything you are doing exactly, you can simply configure like what tables you want to expose to the public, what are the exact data rows that the users can have access, what actions they can do, and everything just with configuration. So even if
mm,
the developer tries to, well, how can I say, overexpose data that users shouldn't see, if the permissions are configured correctly, that won't happen. I think
mhm.
that's the benefit.
And what types of business scenarios are ideal for Power Pages? Have you some
In
examples?
my opinion, it justifies the investment if the company already has Dataverse for internal processes,
Mm,
because then you get the real benefit of it. So like you already have a lot of Power Apps, Canvas apps, or model-driven apps running your business processes, and you need to expose part of it to external users. I think that's when Power Pages shines, because you can spin up a website very quickly without those benefits I said. But I don't think, like in my opinion, and I think it's even a common agreement among the community, that you can actually create Power Pages connecting to different data sources, but it's not the bigger strength. Like if the
mm,
main one is with Dataverse.
mm. And
It works. It works, but I think it's the company is going to get more benefits with
mm,
Dataverse.
okay. Um, yeah, why are so many companies, facing with external portals that are often challenging them? Yeah, I think, yeah, it's I don't know. I have the feeling a lot they have not these concepts. I think it's yeah. I think a little bit about it's an added on for dynamics. So, uh,
Hmm.
how will you describe uh, what what makes a good external portal?
I think nice UI, which sometimes is not the easiest thing to do if you use only out-of-the-box components, but it can be achieved, like with a
Mm,
few CSS styling. And as well, oh, okay, nice UI. I think that devs also need to think about performance,
mm,
because if your portal, there's a few things we can tweaking the Power Pages website to improve performance, but basically, if the portal is not fast, the usage is going to be low because the users will hate it, you know. So I think it's like they have to be friendly and fast, and also the same way as for internal business users. If you're proposing a portal for external people, just try to think of what problem the portal is trying to solve
mm,
for your external people. So
mm,
maybe it solves your problem, but not their problem. I think it should be a combination of both. Like it helps them to help you, basically.
Mm,
Helps them to help your clients. Let's say.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, or I think a little bit about yeah, you're a long time in these Power Pages. How have this Power Pages evolved over the last years?
Yeah, I think over the last years, the bigger improvements that we had initially, Power Pages wasn't solution aware, so now they can be part of solutions and leverage all the new governance benefits of Power Platform, like the how can I say, the Power Platform pipelines and the whole governance stuff that we have, environment variables, and some minor things. But I think now as well, this is very recent. I think there's been a huge investment on a few pro code items in Power
Mm,
Pages. So, for example, now there's server logic. That
mm,
is basically similar to what you do with Azure Functions. You can create your server logics in Power Pages, code that runs on the server side that can interact with external services, Azure Functions, or other APIs you have without exposing client secrets and exposing your logic on JavaScript. There's also a new type of website that's the SPA website. So basically, you will be building a Power Pages website using React or Angular. So instead of building a website using web templates and configuring everything from scratch, like we used to do with the standard portals, you can simply create a portal using
mm,
those languages, and they interact with Power Pages using the web APIs. And you simply need to do configuration stuff like configure table permissions and the roles and etc. And I think that type of portal is a is a big update, a big improvement for the platform because of two things. It brings more developers to work with the platform, because previously, if you wanted to create the pages in Power Pages, you need to understand the liquid language that, like, it's a language created by Shopify that not all developers they know, and sometimes they hate it. You needed it was a bit more convoluted how we create the JavaScript files and everything. And now it will be just a single web front end project where devs can work as if they worked in React or
mm,
Angular. Just
mm,
simplifies life, I think, And also you can use the LLMs now. So for example, there's the Claude plugin to create the SPA websites. So
mm.
you, instead of creating everything from scratch, you can describe it, and then AI creates a version of the website for you, and then you simply tweak if something is needed. I think
It's
it's going in the right direction.
it's then similar to Power Apps Code Apps, or how does it work?
It's the same. It's just a different platform, but it works very similar. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
And what did you think? How looks the future for Power Pages?
I think at the end of the day, people will build only the new type of app, the SPA apps. Same way as I said for Power Apps as well. I think that's gonna be ramping up very quickly, in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
if we follow the trend of people using AI agents to build apps, like those two apps are the best ones to build with
mm,
AI anyway.
yeah. Another topic you're also in, it's a security topic, I
Yeah,
see. Why is it important for Power Pages developers or Power App developers? Um,
yeah. I think I used to post more or talk more about Power Pages security than Power Apps. To be honest, like because I noticed when I did a few presentations on the topic, I noticed a few developers around that they were a bit unaware of some, not constraints, how can I say, some vulnerabilities that you can bring if you are not aware of how client-side coding works and what you can expose or not with code. Because sometimes even that concept of, okay, that's everything low code, bring everyone to build a site, bring everyone to build an app.
mm,
I think it's fine if it's an internal app. Maybe people misconfigure something on Dataverse, it's going to be exposing internally. It's a problem, but it's not a, a problem as big as if you expose data to external people. So, for example, I know it's not the right approach, but okay, you see cases around where people, instead of creating proper security roles on Dataverse,
Mm,
they simply hide the data in a Canvas app with filters. But that's not the right approach, okay? But if the user is not very tech savvy, they won't be
mm,
finding it in your company,
mm,
okay? It's a problem you need to map, but if someone can access it, it's gonna be someone internal. It's not gonna be all the world accessing your data. In Power Pages, if you have a public website, if you, for example, set permissions of a table to be global, everyone with a login to your
mm,
website can access the data of that table. And
mm,
if that table is enabled with the web API and the developer doesn't know how to correctly configure permissions, like I said, if they put it as global, everyone can access the data. If they simply guess the address of the table endpoint and do some old data queries, it's very
mm,
easy to find. But if you configure it properly, the users will see only the records they should have access to. They see, modify, whatever. And I just thought there was a bit of lack of awareness in like the less experienced developers. So I thought it would be beneficial to be talking about it and writing articles and posts about it, basically, just to
mm.
bring awareness of like what are the features, what you should be paying attention to.
Okay. And can you a little, yeah, for people that are not familiar with web API, can you a little bit explain what is this and yeah, how it
Yeah,
works?
so basic web API is an interface you can use to access Dataverse data via JavaScript.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that you will use JavaScript to call runs on your browser.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, when you enable those web API endpoints of people to update data, to read data in your website, you need to be very careful on what you enable or not. Because if you are not careful, then how can I say, you can expose fields you shouldn't expose. You can expose items you shouldn't be exposing publicly. But if you configure permissions properly and you enable strictly what needs to be enabled, then your users would see exactly what they need to see. So it's a way they can interact with Dataverse
Mm-hmm.
programmatically via JavaScript, but you need to be very careful, because if the users can interact with, like if JavaScript can interact with a web API, anyone opening developer tools in Chrome can do the same. So if
Mm.
they via JavaScript can access data that they shouldn't, that's a problem. Yeah.
And how did we secure yeah, this web API?
You can enable, there's three things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Limit the fields you enable on the web API. So by default, no table is enabled on the web API. Then you enable a table on the web API, but you can only enable certain fields. Point number one. Then you can also put table permissions on that way. You have to put table permissions on that uh, table anyway. So what's gonna happen is when you put table permissions, you can specify if the user has global access in the table, they have account access or contact access. So if they have contact access, they only have access to the records assigned to their contact. They cannot see or modify records made by other people if they shouldn't. When you put account level, it's to the accounts that their contact is tied to. Then you can be tweaking the relationships to make that work the way you want. But just bear in mind there has to be a relationship to the account or the contact of the user. And the other thing you can do is you can configure also the column permissions.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put column permissions in the table. So for example, you have a table where you need to enable 10 fields of the table in the web API, but the users should be able to update only 5 of them. You can do it. So you can create column security profiles where you say, hey, all the fields should be enabled for read except those 5 fields. They should be enabled for update and create as well. And there you go, or even remove values and things like that. And yeah, in terms of the web API, that's the critical bits, I'd say. Just bear in
And
mind, like if the users can access it, if JavaScript can access it, anyone with the permissions could access it via developer tools. And if they don't have access to the record, that's fine. If the permissions are set correctly, nothing bad is gonna happen.
so that you have to look that attackers cannot, yeah, let's say inject tech or something. I think it's yeah, it's all what on the web is. It's a little bit more risky than in general. Um, yeah, but how will you say did you balance between usability, security, um, when you develop an Power Page?
It's hard to say because at the end of the day, I think we need to do some audits in terms of security. Even if the portal is usable, I think before going live, we have to do like a penetration testing to find if there's any gap in security. There's also Power Pages, the security agent. There's the security reports that the product itself shows something that you should be configuring. Like everything I said, for example, this thing of having a table with global permissions, you can get some audits on top of that as well, and then you need to pay attention to all those audits flag you and fix it. But in terms of balancing UI and security, I don't think one affects the other thing. Essentially, like it just before you put the site live, do those checks, do the audits, run a pen test as well, and fix. But the thing is, if the developer has everything I said in mind at first, there's gonna be less problems when that moment comes before go live because you built everything with that in mind. So less things to adjust.
Yeah, and did you see, I say, we new risk, especially through Copilot or AI? Is there a new threats actually?
To be honest with you, I am not aware, like in terms of prompt injection and things like that. I didn't check too much. Yeah.
Yeah, and we will say when we take about the AI topic, how did you find how has it changed the whole power platform experience for you? What will you say?
Well, I think it's just, for example, it speeds up doing bug fixes or creating prototypes. Basically, I'm saying about just GitHub Copilot. Basically, like because I think like GitHub Copilot or Cloud is what people are using to build the apps. It speeds up a few things. Obviously, I think it works best to fix small bugs or maybe creating something new. And always, if you interact with existing apps, the results are a bit unpredictable. You need to be watching out, but at least it helps in terms of generating proof of concepts and small bug fixes. That's what I see so far.
Yeah, a lot of people say, yeah, AI will replace developers. Did you think that that will happen, or does the role only change? Uh,
No, I don't think AI will replace developers. AI can replace developers that don't use AI. you know, that's because like I'm not saying you should build everything with AI, but for a few bits you definitely will have to speed up the process.
Mhm.
So for example, like I said, maybe some small bug fixes, creating prototypes and creating proof of concepts. At least I think that's mandatory. There's no point on validating if something works or not, and you have to build everything from scratch when you can ask AI to build it for you quickly and you just see how it behaves. But I think like how those agentic AI tools are evolving, it's going to be only increasing, even for the like building bigger applications. And so far, there's always going to be a human interaction with it, or a need of reviewing the apps that are developed. And it's funny enough as well, the trend we are seeing in the recent weeks, that companies are starting to evaluate the benefits of building apps with AI versus the consumption and money spent with tokens and everything, because I think
Yeah.
there's a big hype with it, and uh, how can I say, the best developers will be the ones that use it when it's really needed and with the less consumption as possible. Like they know how to prompt correctly and bring the best outputs for the companies, because it's really easy to start asking a lot of things and burn a lot of tokens and don't get, like, you can build an app, but maybe you built an app, but what was the impact of that app? Like you just burned tokens for nothing, or did it really make a difference?
Yeah, I think there was I think a meme where stands the developer costs, I don't know, $60,000, and then
Hmm.
per year, and then the other side shows uh, token spends 1 month 300,000.
Hmm.
So okay, and the developer gets his job back. Yeah, but you are also in Microsoft MVP. So it's yeah, I say community award.
Hmm.
What did you do especially in the community? What's your community work?
I started when I got the MVP award. It was during pandemic, post-pandemic times for COVID. So I had a friend that he was an MVP at that time, and he had a blog, and he was motivating me to write more. And then I started to
Mm,
write more for my blog. I did a few presentations as well, like a few sessions on conferences. There was a few at that point. I used to contribute to the Microsoft PNP, uh,
mm,
Microsoft 365 PNP. So there was a GitHub repo with Power Platform samples and SharePoint list formatting samples. I used to contribute with that as well. And then slowly, I just like my main focus now is like write the blogs, present on conferences. Sometimes I put a few samples on GitHub as well. But yeah, I think mainly the blogs and a few conferences. And also being active on social media, like posting
mm.
updates or
Yeah.
any tips or anything.
I think all the
Yeah,
information we put in the show notes with all the links.
yeah.
And then, what advice would you give someone who will start with Power Platform journey today?
Mm, let me think. Honestly, what I it's not only today. I think sometimes like today, think the certification paths changed a little bit, but I just always thought that I know it's just a credential, but if you don't know where to begin, get a certification
Mhm.
learning path and study that, or like try to get the certificate for two reasons, because it gives you a learning path to follow, and you get exposure of all the features, you understand more or less how it works, and you also get the credentials to help your CV if you want to find a job. So I think that's a way to go. Sometimes even if you start working with the Power Platform by yourself, not only Power Platform but any Microsoft related technology, you probably will be touching only the features that you are requested to work with at your job.
Mhm.
So if you get a certification or learning paths, it's good, at least you get awareness of what you can do with the platform and what you can build, and that gives you more room to grow. So even if you are not very proficient with a feature, when you have a problem, hey, maybe that could help me to solve this problem, and you can start playing around and learning more.
Yeah, and all sessions I do a quick fire round. So I
Hmm.
give you a quote sentence, and you say what comes in your mind.
Mm,
So yeah, it,
okay.
yeah. Power Apps or Power Pages?
I'd say Power Apps, because it's eh, that's that's what gives more impact to people, because Power Pages is very good, but it has a very niche use case. Okay, that's because I'm thinking about the impact and usage overall.
What's better, SharePoint Classic or Modern SharePoint?
Modern SharePoint.
Canvas
Yeah,
apps or model-driven apps?
model driven apps. Yeah.
Dataverse, Dataverse or SQL?
Uh, it depends. I have to say Dataverse because I work more with the Power Platform, but yeah, each one has its benefits.
What's your favorite, JavaScript or C Sharp?
To be honest, I don't have a favorite. I like to program with both. Like
Okay.
each, yeah.
If Microsoft give you the control over the Power Platform roadmap for one day, what's the first feature you add and what's the first thing you will delete?
First feature I would add, I would improve how multi-developer story works with Power Pages because it's always a bit tricky. And the other one you said first, the feature I would need or um yeah, I don't know what, like I think both answers are the same. Like I would just put more efforts on improving multi-developer story within Power Pages. I think it's improving overall, but could be better. You know?
Yeah, solution architect or developer?
Solution architect.
Copilot or manual coding?
Sorry, Copilot or manual coding. Honestly, I prefer manual coding, even though I use Copilot for stuff, but I have more fun if I have problems to solve myself.
Uh, Dark mode or light mode?
Dark mode,
Remote work or office work?
remote work,
Microsoft Build or Microsoft Ignite?
Microsoft build,
Coffee, tea, or energy during development?
coffee. And I'm addicted to coffee.
Brazil or Ireland?
I have to say Brazil, even though I live in Ireland, because it's my home country. Anyway,
Yeah, if you're stranded on a desert island with internet access, but you only can use one Microsoft product forever, what do you choose and why?
good question. My God, man. Say OneDrive, because if I'm on internet, if I'm on a stranded island, I just want OneDrive to save my pictures and personal stuff. I wouldn't be caring about work.
Yeah, and yeah, my last question or final question is, when people think about this session today, what's the one piece they took with them?
I think just they see that a person can maybe shift their career in different paths, as I did, like from C# to SharePoint to Power Apps to Power Pages, and also the explanation about importance of security in Power Pages as well, because I just think it's important to bring awareness to people, and like the questions you made, it helped me to try to explain the importance of it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then thank you for this fantastic conversation. Yeah, and all your insight about Power Platform architecture, Power Pages security, pro code customization, and yeah, the evolution of traditional development to modern business applications. Yeah, I think one of the key takeaways for me is that successful Power Platform solutions aren't just about building quickly, they are designing security, scalable,
Uh,
thoughtful, and creating experience that deliver a long-term value. And yeah, thank you. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. And yeah, I
I
hope
did, yeah. It
to
was
see you
great.
uh, as soon as possible.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. So,
Thank
bye. Have
you.
a nice day.
Bye. You too.